I'm working on the spark plug hole setup here, trying to figure out what to do here. This here is what the head looks like after I don't weld it up. I need this extra thick and put too much metal in here really. Found that out. This here is one I just did up to do a quick sample with, and I didn't put nearly as much material in here. I didn't fill up this whole area up the top of this fin right here like I did on the other head, like this one. So turns out that the stock spark plug is pretty deep in the hole here, so it's sunk in pretty far. So when you switch to a 3/4 plug and bring it up to the top like a shovel head motor has here, you wind up taking up about half the distance you need going to a longer plug. So I didn't have to put so much metal in the other head. So this one here I just did a quickie weld up last night, and so I got something to play with today. And I got to figure out my hole location side to side also. Basically what I want to do is I want to do like I do on the shovel head over here. Harley puts their spark plug real next to the intake valve because the intake valve is a lot bigger than the exhaust valve on the seat. And the plug's pretty much toward the intake anyway. So what I do is when I do the spark plugs on the shovel, I move the spark plug over toward the center of the chamber here. So you can see how it's been moved over a little bit. And that centers it up a little bit better, makes it burn better. So what I want to do is I want to figure out how far I can move this, and I also want to flatten the angle out. It's hard to see in here, but right now this surface here is real close, and it's in a big hole up here on the top because of the angle the plug comes through the hole is different. This one here, you can see how it's flush, pretty much even. You can see how the overcut here is there. And when I cut it over here, you can see how the spark plug is flush with the top of the chamber all the way around. So the plug's going at the correct angle to be even all the way around. PanHeads, they actually have it at a different angle, and it's real close here by my finger, and you got a big gap on the other one, so it's at a pretty bad angle coming in. So I want to take some of that angle out when I put these heads in, and then center it up a little bit, because when you put an oversized intake valve in here, it's going to be the same problem like the shovel. It gets kind of close here. So I want to go ahead and move this over right now a little bit. So when it's all done, it'll be like this, where it's more in the center when you're done. So those are all things I got to figure out right now. So this is what this one looks like. This is just a junk head I had laying around. This one's a 57 PanHead. Got a 56 number casted in it. So anyway, like I said, I just weld this up real quick. I did not cut all the steel and stuff out here, so I am not going to thread this with my tab. I'll just put a hole through it so I can put a spark plug in there and see what it looks like. Get that one out of the way. So what we're looking at right now is our offsets in here to the hole locations where these spark plugs are at. So on the stock head, it's pretty centered over here in the shovel. When you offset the plug here, it goes slightly toward the exhaust side here. So it's a little bit closer here than on this side. Over here on the PanHead, they have it offset way toward the intake port here, and they cut away the whole side of the intake port to right through here to make room for it, which allows it to get really thin up inside the port up in there. It's real close. And I've seen these things crack through right in here, or if you start porting on them, you get too carried away, you cut through. So I want to move this plug over here and center it up more in the chamber. I mean in the head. So right now this one here, you can see it needs to come over quite a bit. The problem is when you come over quite a bit and center it over here, then you wind up offsetting it more over here than I really wanted to, because I had the plug way down over here, which I didn't like. So I welded up the other head so I could start over. So right now, if you lay these heads like this, if you look at the angles of these spark plugs here, this one here is coming up with a lot more of an angle here than what this one over here is at. This one here, it's the PanHead's a lot at this angle, shovel head's over here at this angle. So these are at 45 degrees, I think is where these ones are at. And this one here was at, what number did I wind up with on this thing? Oh, good question. I had it written down someplace a couple days ago. Oh, there it is. Right there. 54.6 degrees. So this is almost 10 degree angled up like this, more than the shovel head is. So you can kind of look at it real closely. You can kind of see the big difference in the angles of the two. See the gap in here versus the gap you get like this over here. See, that's way flatter. So that gives you more room to get the plug in and out of the bike. But you got quite a bit of room on the pan, I would have checked anyway. But the biggest thing is the spark plug comes through at an angle over here. So that's what I want to eliminate. So when I put a deep right plug in a PanHead cylinder, that's where you can really see it. Let me grab the spark plug here out. This is 3/4 length one, that's what we're going to be going to. This is the 1/2 inch for each of what I use normally on a PanHead. So that's your two different lengths there. Probably use the 3/8 for each plug stock, which is really short. So they're way down inside of a hole. Figure the damn washer wants to bind up. It wants to go easy while you're working here. Alright. If you look at the spark plug, you can see how it's just barely sticking through the chamber right here, but down here you can see how it's sticking way through. That's that angle problem. Harley did not put this spark plug in here correctly at the correct angle. So what I want to do is, instead of coming through at this angle here, I want to go ahead and lay it over like this, just like a shovel it is, so it fits the chamber better. So that's what I'm going to play with. So anyway, for now I'm going to go ahead and hand grind out this chamber right here so it's the correct shape, and then we'll start cutting on this head and see what we get. Alright, we got this all ground out through here now, so it's the same curved shape of this side over here. So it might be slightly deeper, but it's an even curve, so hard to tell from one side to the other how the heads are made. So anyway, you can see what the original weld was put in right here, so it's pretty close to the original depth. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and set this head up over in the mill, center it up, and then we'll go see where we come in with this here. So then we'll cut this back, and we'll see what we got with a hole on the other side. The only way you find out is put a hole in it. That's why I'll use a sample in instead of the head we want to do for real. Okay, I got the initial hole put in here for the spark plug hole. So this is my new location. This here is the stock location here. So this is these are both front heads here. So the difference is that this spark plug here is a little bit closer to the intake than exhaust, but pretty close, almost even. Whereas the hole I put in here, it's the same height relative to this one. It is offset toward exhaust about 50-60 thousandths versus the intake. So that allows you to put a bigger intake valve in here, like a shovelhead size valve, and not have the interference with the spark plug. And that centers it up a lot better. Also, it is now a lot more even because I changed the angle of the plug, so it sits in the chamber more even. So this head here has oversized seats on both sides, so they're a lot bigger than these seats. But the gap is going to be about the same after you put the hole in it. The other thing I got to do is I got to cut the depth in deeper. So I got to go down probably about 1/8 inch more than this. I haven't decided yet. Still working on that part of it. Too many interruptions there to get that handled. But for now, this is what I got done. And I don't know if you can really see the angle change right now, but there's definitely a difference in angle. This one here is laid down a little bit further. But anyway, next thing is I'll poke this hole up to full size and get the depth cut, and then we can see what it looks like with the plug in the hole. So for now, that's where we're at.